Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Self-Love Show. You now know it is 10 a.m. on a Thursday morning, and we have some incredibly sweet humans today as our guests. We have Andrew and Connie Baxter. Oh, Andrew Bailey and Connie Baxter, Marlow. And I'm so excited to share about the show today. And again, if you are new here, you can always like and subscribe on YouTube. We got Facebook, we've got Spotify, we got all the places. And I'm going to drop those in a moment. So let's get into the show. Be prepared to make the big flip from victim to beloved. Connie Baxter Marlow and Andrew Cameron Bailey will take you into a new understanding of the nature of unconditional love that is and drives us all things. This involves a shift of our core assumptions to understanding there is absolutely only free will, love, and the soul's journey to wholeness, self-love, and alignment with our divinity and purpose. They apply the principles from their book, The Trust Frequency: 10 Assumptions for a New Paradigm, to our relationship with ourselves, others, and circumstances in our lives. They will speak on their own dance of souls that they've experienced as their lives unfolded over several decades. They will share the vows of love, which I'm really excited about this, that will create conscious relationships beyond the traditional understanding of what relationships are supposed to be. Andrew Cameron Bailey and Connie Baxter Marlow are original thinkers, writers, photographers, filmmakers, futurists, climate solutionaries, I love that, and inspirational public speakers. Their explorations into the essence of reality have led to a unique articulation of the conscious, loving, abundant nature of the universe. In their book, The Trust Frequency: 10 Assumptions for the New Paradigm, Connie and Andrew present a system of cosmological axioms. I think that's the right word. Axioms, assumptions informed by indigenous cosmology, quantum science, and Eastern and Western mysticism, which resolves key paradoxes that have kept humanity from walking in balance with universal law and with an open heart. They offer straightforward, practical tools for accessing the trust frequency, an alternative reality where the soul's destiny waits. The laws are expanded, and there are more balance, beauty, joy, and abundance than we can fathom. They apply the trust frequency paradigm to the evolutionary aspect of relationships in their course, The Dance of Souls, the relationship revolution. Yay! I'm so excited to have you both here. You know, I love that all your work is really founded in trust. And I would love to talk a little bit about, because, and I'll like share my thought process here, about trust itself and how kind of like the original breaking of trust, because we live in a really interesting world now. And I'd love to talk about what maybe some things that people are probably feeling around the broken trust and how we can move into trusting ourselves and the world more.
Well,
You got something to say on that subject?
yeah, we
Donnelly?
both do. Yes, this trust that we address is the trust in a conscious, loving universe.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where our 10 assumptions for new paradigm take us into that place where we understand that everything, absolutely everything, is love.
Mm-hmm.
And is happening for us, not to us. So it's, as you read in our bio and in our introduction, it's that big flip. It's huge, from victim to beloved.
Yes.
Okay, so it's the big flip. It's the big leap beyond duality, beyond right, wrong, good, evil, victim, perpetrator. It's the biggest leap humanity has yet to make in our consciousness to that place, which is a higher vibratory level where we will access a new reality individually and collectively.
Mhm.
Do you have anything to say about that?
I could come up with something. Yeah, I would like to make two announcements very quickly. Firstly, we're probably a lot older than a lot of you folks out there watching this show. Trish, thank you so much for bringing us in. I think we qualify as elders. We're in our mid-70s, and which means we've been around for a while. I'm also going to tell you this. We are newlyweds. Connie and I got married a little under 6 months ago, so we're still in the honeymoon phase. Although we had a 20-year engagement just to be sure that we could trust this impulse that our hearts were giving us that, oh, babe, I want to be with you forever, and whatever it was. So it's really about, and I'm serious when I say trusting that impulse, because there's something inside of us that knows. So we're not talking about trusting the government or trusting somebody who's trying to sell us something or trusting something we saw on television. It's really not that. It's trusting spirit. It's trusting the fact that we are part of a conscious, loving universe, which is this spirit entity. A lot of it is not even visible. You can't even look at it. A telescope won't see it. But this spirit from one end of the metaverse, the multiverses, to the other, and to trust this other fact, and I'm using the word fact, that it consists entirely, the universe consists entirely of love. Now, not the holding hands kind of love, not human love, not talking about that, talking about the primordial energy of the universe. So this is big picture quantum science, if you will. This is the universe we live in. It consists of energy, and that energy is the same thing as love. So when we say love, think of it with a capital L, and we're very serious about the fact that love is all there is. Okay?
So the reason we see things as not love, that broken trust, that abuse in our lives, that war that's going on, all the horrible things we see as not love, in this construct that we bring with the trust frequency 10 assumptions for a new paradigm, we resolve that paradox, because it's a paradox because you say, okay, it's all love. Yeah, excuse me? How can it be love with this broken trust, with all that's going on? And what we bring to it is that the nature of this love is unconditional. And the nature of unconditional love, now these are our definitions, these are our assumptions. And the nature of that unconditional love is that it gives us everything we ask for. Now, what are our requests? See, we don't understand what our requests are. So we're bringing a whole new way of looking at the whole shooting match. Okay? Our requests are our consciousness. And we have 7 aspects of our consciousness that we call our requests to this conscious loving universe. And I'll say these 7 aspects of our consciousness in one sentence. They all begin with A, and they determine our vibratory rate. So there's 2 ways of looking at it. It's pure physics. It's vibration, it's frequency. The whole universe is energy. We are energy. And controlling our vibratory rate is how we need to learn to manage ourselves in these changing times when everything is falling apart that we trusted, that we counted on, and it's throwing us into total trust. That's all we can do, is trust our heart, trust circumstance, and act accordingly. So here's our 7 aspects. We call them the 7 A's. And here they are in one sentence.
Can I say a quick little thing first?
Yeah.
So this, friends, is about consciousness. Science has had real trouble defining consciousness. If you go and talk to a physicist and say, tell me, what's the definition of consciousness? What you usually get is a blank stare. They go like, you should go talk to your minister at church or something like that. Seriously, they just haven't addressed it, haven't figured it out, but we did in this book. So you go to the dictionary, consciousness. Open up the dictionary. Consciousness is awareness. Okay, let's go to awareness. Awareness is consciousness. Okay, that's called circular thinking. But the first of these A's that Connie's talking about, the first of these words in the English language beginning with A, the first is awareness. But there are a whole lot of others. So what Connie's going to do right now is share with you a sentence. I essentially came up with this list of 7 attributes or aspects, facets of consciousness as experienced by the human being. She put them into this cool sentence that's kind of a mantra you could use, a reminder of, because what do we experience as human beings? There's only one thing we experience, consciousness. The only thing I can ever experience is my consciousness. That's that which I engage in, that which I interact with. So Connie, the 7 A's.
Okay, here it goes. With expanded, now pay attention to the modifiers of these words. With expanded awareness and accurate assumptions, we choose our attitude, consciously direct our attention, align with our highest inner promptings, take committed action, and allow the loving universe to manifest beyond our wildest dreams. Because when we get in that higher frequency, it's a different set of laws. The laws are expanded. It's a different reality. And when we get there, they're saying that there's a new earth coming. That the dimensions are going to split and we're going to go into a new earth, a higher frequency. Well, the earth is shifting frequencies. And when we get into that higher frequency, the laws are expanded. Jesus showed us with the loaves and the fishes, the abundance, the infinite abundance of the universe. And he showed us with his miracles, and they're happening now, the healing miracles that are happening now. We're accessing that higher frequency because the earth is moving into that frequency. And we have this work to do to keep up with her. So that's what our Dance of Souls course is about, is giving people tools from these 10 assumptions to shift and from victim to beloved, okay, to understand that there's only free will, there's only love, and there's only our soul's journey to wholeness. And we'll go into that further. But when we make that shift, we go into that beloved state of a higher frequency. And we remove those shadow aspects of ourselves that keeps us down, that keeps us feeling victimized, feeling less than. So that's the work that we'll take you through in a little bit.
And remember the term that you read a little earlier there, Trish, when you were introducing us, the relationship revolution. It's a revolution or even an evolution in how we understand relationships. We come to each other, we fall in love with a mirror. It's basically, I'm here to mirror Connie. Connie's here to mirror me. Trish, we're mirroring each other right now. And each of us shows up in each other's lives with a gift. And that gift is the mirror, the mirroring. If I encounter you and I fall madly in love with you, and a week later you're screaming at me in anger, there's a mirror that I could look at. And instead of getting all mad and walking out the door, I could say, whoa, hang on, thank you. I didn't have any idea that I needed to learn this because on the one hand, it's a learning experience. It's an evolutionary development experience, the experience of being in relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he basically referring to triggers. Okay, so when one is triggered, that is a sign to one that one has work to do. And so the person who's doing the screaming at that point is triggered, and that person has work to do to go inside and see what triggered me in the other's behavior. And so, and triggers usually go both ways. People trigger each other. Once one gets triggered, with he and I, when he gets triggered, what he does triggers me.
And the dance begins.
And the dance begins, and it's a downward spiral if you're not conscious. And that's what we're bringing with this Dance of Souls course. So what are your thoughts at this point? We've kind of carried on.
Oh yeah. It's a courageous and brave act to take responsibility for one's life, and to actually choose to take accountability for our actions, reactions, and engagements is actually pretty wildly powerful. And it's also part of self-love. So in some of the learnings that I have received, it's a disintegration when we want to, right? A disintegration when we choose victimhood or like presenting others as the perpetrator or wanting to be saved, that it's the disintegration of self. And that when we choose to take accountability for, like for our own lives. One of the things, and I love what you're teaching, because I think this is incredibly crucial and important for the evolution of humanity. And for the evolution of relationships, is like, yes, I will get triggered. Like I had an experience this weekend that I was really low resourced and needed like cuddles and hugs, and I just wanted to be around friends. And it kind of turned into, I wasn't aware that that's what I was really needing. I was my battery was so depleted that I couldn't ask for that. And I felt a little excluded, which drained my battery more, right? But then again, it's my responsibility to ask for what I need, and also to self-source at first before I can go to ask for my person. So it takes a lot of green lighting people to be in the trust frequency, I think. It's like, this person's just living their life, doing their thing. They're not intentionally here to harm me unless they specifically are, but it's often just to get a need met, right? It's a strategy to get your needs met. That's most of our behavior. So when I'm listening to you share about the Dance of Souls and the trust frequency, I'm really hearing that it is about taking your life in your hands and consciously stepping out of making someone a perpetrator and making yourself the victim. Because there's a lot of, let's own it, there's a lot of power in being the victim.
That's right.
Total.
That's right.
Very much so.
But it's not good power.
It is not healthy power, no.
Yeah.
And it's a lower vibration.
Yeah.
So until we get up in vibration, we aren't going to stay with the earth as she goes. So, and what are we feeding the collective consciousness? Because we are one. And that's a responsibility we have once we become conscious, is what are we feeding the collective?
Exactly.
And here's something I'd like to just mention, and it's from the book. And it's we've got these 10 assumptions for a new paradigm. And one of those assumptions is, what about circumstance? Circumstance
loves us more than we do.
So has anyone watching this show ever felt that they are a victim of circumstance? Because this is interesting. And this is from Connie. This is a wise woman sitting next to me here. Circumstance is on our side. Circumstance has your back. You are not a victim of circumstance. Circumstance is guiding you. You're actually a beneficiary of circumstance. Every time something happens that's different from what you might have chosen. You thought you were heading from A to B, and something shows up in the middle and says, you're going this way, wham, and slams you off into another direction. We keep getting, they call them trim tabs, like redirected by like setting your course across the ocean of life. Circumstance loves us. Why? Because it's the only thing there is in the universe. So I am composed entirely of love. That which I see as circumstance is a manifestation of love. And once I change my attitude about circumstance, instead of complaining and whining, I go, wow, and see it for what it is. It's things that are happening for me to my benefit, as opposed to things that are happening to me, and I'm a victim. Sorry, no more victims.
And that's the point of listening to our hearts when circumstance comes. Circumstances are the signs from the universe. So we listen, we watch the signs, and then we listen to our heart. We take bold, committed action, and then we're in that flow.
In that frequency.
And
Different
with your particular example that you used, you're going to feeling excluded. Then one looks at, okay, what's behind that feeling of being excluded? See, because that's what we gave permission to come on this journey on the planet, on this journey to wholeness, to self-love, self-acceptance, and alignment with our divinity and purpose. So that's our definition of humanity, that we gave the universe permission. So here's circumstance taking you in a place with your being tired and everything, but that's circumstance as well. Okay, why am I feeling excluded? Maybe I have some less than feelings deep inside that this circumstance is showing me. That now is to go inside and say, okay, why would I be excluded? Because I'm not okay. I'm less than. And so then go in, okay, what aspects of less than? You know, oh, these people are all really cool and really smart, and I'm not as smart as they are, so they don't really want me around, you know. So we go into our not so smart aspects or whatever. So that's the keys that we're bringing to people with this look at humanity, at our incarnation on this life walk, that we came here for this specific purpose, so that we can bring all of ourselves to the party, not just the parts that we think people want to see and that society, our culture wants to see. We promise to bring a gift to the party, and the whole universe, I promise you, is awaiting that gift of who we are, all of us, all aspects of ourselves. So that's this key to taking in that experience for what it's showing us, that mirror, that shadow piece. And we're going to go through our vows of love that help to clarify that. And so that's the gift we can give from this Dance of Souls perspective.
That making sense?
I think it is making sense. It's looking at the core root of the disintegration, right?
Yeah.
I have this, so I've been studying something I shared last night in the other show, is that I've been studying about how a lot of our insecurities are rooted in social norm behavior, like to conform to social norms to get our needs met. And it's a really powerful, I mean, you can trace some of these like wild insecurities for like, I can trace them up to about 2,000 years, like when you really start seeing civilization like what is it called when they're taking things down, when they're really like writing it down, I can start to really track some of these things because people really want inclusion, belonging, connection. They need their needs met. They need food. They need love. They need, housing and all of this stuff. So it's really fascinating to start to look at the deeper aspects of and to heal and to transform the deeper aspects of those. So I'm going to finish the rest of the story. Do you want to hear?
Yeah.
So I had this moment and it didn't really occur to me because I was just in the moment. I was like, oh, this is fun, And then I was like, it occurred to me when someone said, oh, they said something really interesting about, like they knew that they were excluding me. Like, oh, I'm stealing your date. And I was like, oh, interesting. Like you can see it. And I was like, oh, okay. And it didn't really like sit with me until later when I was sitting by myself and I was like, oh, I am so tired and I really want to cuddle right now. And I could feel the pull to be the victim. And I think this is a really common, it's a really common place, especially if we've been trained and we've been told that this is the way that it is. I mean, we can see it in film, we can see it, read it in books, like we see it in the news. I mean, like playing the victim triangle is actually the model of relating that we're fed from the time we can start looking at books or watching television. It just is, right? And so I love that you're changing it to be really empowered. So what happened is like I was like, okay, where did I abandon myself in this moment? Because that's what's true. Is like what was happening. And I didn't do some of the foundational things that I like to do in connection places. Like I like to have certain conversations to see where everybody's at. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? So we can negotiate reality is what I call it. And then I was also just really tired and I really should have like drove home and snuggled with my cat. That was probably the most loving action that I could have taken. And then I was like, I really didn't speak to what I wanted in the moment. And I think it's common for people not to be shy. It wasn't really like exactly super present in the moment because I had worked like 10 hours of volunteer work, leading classes and like hosting, there was a lot of things. And I was like, you know what? The most loving action there would have been deeper self-care rather than trying to be social. And I sat back and my friends had already sort of felt the thing. They were like, hey, I just wanted to check in. And I was like, yeah, I felt some stuff about it. And I can take accountability for my action. And nobody else is feeling uncomfortable, right? Like I'm the only one feeling discomfort. So I was like, I'll like to take accountability for that and come back into restore my integrity around my own actions with myself. And we had great conversations and it was just taking ownership. So it was like, instead of victimizing and staying in this thing that could have just created so much drama, it lasted this long.
Beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful.
That's wise.
So that's part of the process that we're talking about.
Yes.
Okay, go in. Okay, there it is. There's that victim. And am I going to indulge in that victim? Or am I going to look at, okay, what is it in me that I'm seeing that it has to do with my self-love?
Yes.
I didn't go cuddle with my cat. If you should have, you would have. So you didn't. And so there you were there to experience this thing and to play that process of going from victim to beloved, to your own understanding how loved you are, who you are, and the gift that Trish is in this world.
It's a practice. And we don't always get it right because we're constantly learning. We're evolution.
Oh, yeah.
We're evolving beings. We're not a finished thing. And I am learning possibly at the most rapid rate of my whole life at this stage of my life. I can learn stuff now. I used to be intimidated by computer programs, like learn a new editing system or something. Now it's like, bring it on. Interesting, yeah. And relationships, whoa, still stuff, you know.
Yeah.
We thought we entered this relationship baggage free. We'd done it all in our previous marriages, and we were through it, right? And we meet, and we're in that initial high. Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
But lurking in the shadows were some monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love is a practice.
Love is a practice. Absolutely.
That's what I tell all of my clients who are working out of their codependent patterning.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I messed that one up. And then I was like, and you'll do it again. Like
Yeah.
you have conditioning that sort of gives you easy access to these inefficient strategies. There are different ways to love. It's going to take practice and practice and practice and practice. And even 10 years from now, it's still going to be an inkling of like, oh, victim. And you're going to probably fall into it. And guess what? You get to come back into integrity and follow the practice again. Like, that's just how you get to do it.
It's all about self-love, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's all about self-love. It's self-acceptance, self-esteem, which most of us don't get. We don't come out of childhood with much in the way of self-esteem or self-love. It's not the reflection we've experienced. Some of us, yes, but many of us not so.
But from this perspective, each soul chooses their experiences, chooses their parents. Their soul actually magnetizes the behaviors in order to get the wounds that drive us through the process, the hero's journey, the heroine's journey of coming to recognize those wounds as a gift to access those parts of ourselves we don't love yet. Like I use the example of two twin girls are in their crib, baby girls, 1 or 2 years old, and they wake up and they're calling for their mother. Well, mom's in the shower. Mom doesn't hear. So mom gets out of the shower and she hears the kids, and she comes in, and one of them says, Mom doesn't love me. She never loved me. She abandoned me time after time. And so takes on that abandonment wound. The other one is like, hey, Mom, how you doing? No worries, because the other one didn't come for that wound. That one will get whatever wound that one needs. I promise you, as a mother, they're going to get their wounds no matter what you do.
Yeah.
I mean, mom she's ever present. She's not a working mom. She's around. She just happens to be the kids are asleep and she's in the shower. I promise you that soul is going to get the wound they came to get regardless.
Yes.
So I say to parents, just do the best you can. They've chosen you. Their job is to heal from being your kid. Okay. So, we each have to do that work, not blame the parent. Say, okay, I have work to do to heal from the wounds that I've taken on. So to me, it's less cultural conditioning. I mean, that's definitely a part of it, but the huge, deep core wounds are individual, are soul driven. That when we were up in the ether, we came on planet Earth, we gave permission to the conscious loving universe to take us on this journey, because it's the most important journey for the soul, for this coming to self-love and coming into the physical and bringing all of us to the party. And you seem to be doing that, Trish. You're out there, girl. You're really bringing your gifts to the party. Trish, right? Here she is. So whatever you have that's lurking in there, just be thankful for certain circumstances to show you those pieces. So
did it sound like I wasn't grateful?
Brings her authentic, total self to the party.
Well,
You're
yeah.
such a delight. We so enjoyed being with you in Los Angeles. and meeting in person, because we've been in contact on Zoom for so long through the Awakening World, etc. So it's just, you're just a real beautiful gift, my dear, and just welcome those experiences that show you pieces.
Oh, I'm not pushing them away.
Yeah. No,
Like,
I know.
I invite discomfort. Like, I think that that's a really powerful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm hearing that.
Yeah, I think that when we are, I even think that any excessive emotion is part of something that I can look at. And, like, I'm not trying to be neutral, but I'm always like, why am I really excited about that one thing and not excited about that other thing? And I'm actually really, the discomfort places are just giving me access to my wants and needs. It really helps me to really dial how I want to show up in the world, what my values are. And I take these as beautiful opportunities to really realign, because that's what they are.
That's
I'm-
great.
That's exactly
You are
right.
on it, girl.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, let's thank Scott Katamas for teaching me how to do self-empathy, which was one of the most profound tools for me to really help me understand how to walk the path of my wants and needs. If you haven't walked the path of the wants and needs, or done the self-empathy tool, reach out to me. I'll send it to you. But we're not going to get into it now. I'm very curious about these vows.
Okay.
Share with us about the vows.
This is something that Connie came up with. She wrote it. Did you write it as wedding vows originally? Was that the
No, I
idea?
was driving down the highway in Aspen,
They feel like
Colorado, in the
wedding
middle of
vows,
my very challenged marriage, and there was a traffic jam, and I was sitting there in my car, and I just got it. It's not a download because it's from my personal experience, but I just had a piece of paper and I just wrote it down. These vows of love.
Stuck in traffic.
Stuck in traffic. So you just don't know where you're going to get what. And this was in 1995, 1996, and I was in the middle of a challenging marriage that was reflecting my father's shadow, that I hadn't realized that I had wounds from my father's shadow because he was my champion. And I came to realize that I married my father's shadow magnified, so that I could heal what was deep inside around my heart. And so these vows of love and this process of learning that I had these wounds. I had no idea. I thought I was on top of the world. I had my 3 kids. I had the husband. I had the picket fence, the buck rail fence in Aspen, Colorado. Anyway, so that's the circumstance that these vows came forth.
Do you want to share them as a kind of practice?
Yeah, I thought we could just kind of read them, and whoever's viewing, we'll put it up on the screen,
There it
and
is.
whoever's viewing can kind of walk through these with me. I'm going to read them, and just take it in, what these words reflect. And I always thought, if these could be marriage vows, that
Marriage vow. Mhm.
yeah, if they could be, that a marriage would last so much longer, because
Understand the reason we're in a relationship.
Yeah.
The reason we're married.
exactly.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Instead of, oh yeah, this bliss is going to last forever, we're so in love, what Andrew was speaking of, that time has gone by of that high bliss state of falling in love, and then we reach this place where we walk into our unconscious together. And if both parties can become conscious and make that commitment to each other, then that's when that beautiful work of the relationship comes to pass.
Yeah, let me describe something too. We have used these vows of love of Connie's in-person workshops before COVID. Example, here at Sunrise Ranch in Colorado, where we are, we had, what was it, part of Tribalize, I think, was it?
Yeah.
It was, so anyway, we had about 40 or 50 people in the room, and everybody paired up into couples, just random duos, dyads, and repeated these statements that Connie's about to read out loud to each other, and just moved around and then changed partners and went. So it was a constantly evolving, mutating love fest that was really, really beautiful. And people came out of that and just went, wow.
Yeah. So here they are. I will faithfully reflect the light and beauty that is in your heart. I will also mirror for you all of your wounds and insecurities, and will help you make friends with your shadow, those parts of yourself that you do not yet love. I will as well thank you and honor you for mirroring for me the parts of myself that I cannot see. Each time I try to blame you and judge you, I will remind myself to look inside and articulate and bring into the light my shadow side that you have shown me. I realize that by entering into a relationship with you, I have agreed to walk with you into deep unconscious levels on the journey toward wholeness. If at any time we decide to end this relationship, I recognize that it will be because we have served each other's growth as best we can. I look forward to the day when the fruit of our time together will have ripened through the many seasons of our relationship. So, there you have it. That is our vows of love that we give to not just a marriage partner, but to everyone in our lives and the universe and ourselves. You know, it's that becoming conscious and
have you
making that
managed to do it
commitment.
with any of your children?
No.
So you see, ideally, I think, okay, it's obvious with a couple, right? Here we are, and this is a very good basis for how to relate, right? Relationships are about relating. So how do we do that?
Yeah.
We're not really taught to do it in our culture. We don't really know. So what if we could do it with our parents, with our children, with our grandchildren, in a conscious, formal way? Would it create a ground, a foundation for something, a foundation we do not have at this moment? And even, let's say, with a boss or a, serious people, people who play these powerful roles in our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. It most often comes up with people we can't get away from very easily. Our parents, our children, our bosses, best friends.
Spouses, our spice.
Yeah. So that's the key to understanding that everything happens for us, not to us, and ultimately happens through us as we totally come into bringing our light into the world. That's the divine coming through us and through our gifts that we promise to bring to the party, which is us. So if we're hiding behind that aspect of ourselves, like I have a very powerful personality, and my brother told me early on, like when I was 18, you're just like dad, and it makes it on a man and it doesn't on a woman. So I became Melissa Milquetoast, and I just backed off and just didn't honor that part of myself that's a powerful personality, a big, powerful personality. And that doesn't work. You can't do that. And so ultimately I took on relationships of people who didn't accept that aspect, but beat up on that, not physically, but put down me for being too powerful when I was just being Melissa Milquetoast. So, and I got sick. My body just shut down and said, hey, go inside. You've got work to do. And I came to healing and honoring that aspect of myself. And I now have a partner who loves that part of me. So I know I've done that healing. And because circumstances brought someone into my life who honors and encourages that aspect of myself. So that was one part of my journey to wholeness, my journey of self-acceptance and self-love. And I watch myself. I don't walk into a room and give it all my energy, because I want people to be comfortable with me. And someone else told me once that my energy was better accepted in a room of 500 people. So, I tone it down. I'm sensitive to those around me. You take social cues. I say my whole adult life has been making myself more palatable to others. Okay. So that's not sacrificing me. That is honoring others with who I am. So that's been my process with this journey to self-love. You have any other thoughts on the subject?
Well, I thought we started out mentioning at the very beginning here that we wrote this book, The Trust Frequency, 10 Assumptions for a New Paradigm. And it's about basically examining our beliefs, checking into our worldview and finding out if we actually agreed to that or whether it was imposed on us by our childhood caregivers, for example. So why would assumptions play a role in relationships? How does the trust frequency apply to the dance of souls? So take two human beings, they get together, they fall in love, and they're both 100% operating from the trust frequency. Have a feeling they're going to have a very successful relationship because they trust not only each other. On the big picture, they trust the loving universe. They know that they're part of a universe that supports them the way their mother's womb supported them before they were born. And they most of all know to trust themselves. They trust their feelings. They trust their intuitions. And they know to look at a reflection, let's say a supposedly negative reflection arrives in their lives. They know enough to go, oh, okay, thank you. I didn't know I needed that. So the trust frequency, those 10 principles or assumptions that form a completely new paradigm, a new worldview, are very often each of those individually is very often the polar opposite of the beliefs that we were indoctrinated with, if I can use that term, as a child. For example, I'm a science guy. I was raised through the university system in the British colonial system to believe that the universe was a clockwork machine. It wasn't alive. It didn't even know I existed. It didn't care about me. How could it love me? What if it's the complete opposite of that, which is what I now, having examined that assumption and flipped it, the big flip, now I know that the universe is a living, loving, conscious, evolving entity that consists entirely of love. So how can it not love me? How can I not love it? So we actually live in this extraordinary network, this mesh, this matrix of love, but we weren't raised to believe that. So it's partly getting through or getting over or re-examining our worldview, our belief system from childhood. And that's what this book is very good at. It seems to stand up. We published it 11 years ago, and it seems to stand up really well as a guidebook.
Not only stand up, but the consciousness is getting to that level where we're moving into healing the trauma victim consciousness and moving into that higher consciousness of understanding how loved we are by a conscious, loving universe. That everything happens for us, not to us, as we've said. So that's so exciting for us, because this move beyond duality is the next big leap for humanity. And we're really excited to be recognized now as bringing something to the party of this loving universe, because the physicists aren't going that far at this point. They're saying, yes, we are the universe. It's holographic. It's fractal. It's one. Okay, we're not only interconnected, we are it, and all that. But nobody has yet to say it's a loving universe, except in the religions. It's, God is love. God is everything. So everything is love. So this construct helps us to understand how everything is love. And we apply these principles in this Dance of Souls course, and we have it online for accessing it. It's an evergreen course, and it is the Dance of Souls, the relationship revolution, with the R in parentheses.
Right.
So we hope you go on and check it out.
Relationship evolution.
Yes, exactly. So we also have an online ebook that is a synopsis of the Trust Frequency book.
It's a free book.
It's a free
It's
online
a free ebook. Is that called a free book?
A free book, a free ebook. And one can get that online. And one goes to our website, thetrustfrequency.net, and you can download the free ebook. It's called The Conscious Loving Universe, a Guidebook. And it's a synopsis of our Trust Frequency book. So we hope that you go on and take our course.
Yeah.
In the chat, we're offering a 50% discount on our course. And so Trish is putting that into the chat, into the comments. And we'd love for you to explore this deep aspect of what are our defense mechanisms, what are the repeated behaviors in our lives that trigger us, and what are our defense mechanisms. We get to explore all of that, and to just become conscious of our behaviors and get access to those deeper aspects of ourselves that we don't love yet.
So go to the trustfrequency.net, get the free ebook, which is like the Cliff Notes. You don't have to read the full-size book. We'd love you to study it and work with it. And it is transformative. A lot of people have got back and said, oh man, that saved my life. I was ready to jump off a bridge. In one particular case where a dear friend was in a relationship that had him feeling literally suicidal, gave him the book, and man, it seemed to turn him around. So it can have profound effects. But go to the trustfrequency.net, download the free ebook, see what you think. Get back to us. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
Say, Trish.
Oh, I love the vows. And I think that it's incredibly powerful and honest. I think the vows are really honest. Like, hey, I'm going to trigger you. And I'm going to come back to my accountability, and I'm going to choose love. Like I'm paraphrasing, because if you didn't see them, go back, not too long, just a couple minutes, go back and re-listen, because when we love each other from the now, like what is real here, right in the moment, knowing that we've all got stuff. We've all got like triggers. We all got beliefs and thought processes and understandings of the world. And to choose acceptance is just a really powerful place to love from. I love your vows. And I love both of you. I'm actually really, really excited. I have now some time to sit, and I don't have anything going on. So I'm like, ooh, I'm going to get into this course.
Okay. Yeah. Spread the word. It's powerful. It's not easy. It's actually work. It's challenging.
Good.
How challenging is it sometimes to look into the mirror? And an exercise is just to look into the mirror and smile sincerely at yourself. Not easy, right? We are trained to believe that we are not what we're supposed to be. And until we know that we are what we are, who we are right now in this moment, and can accept ourselves completely, warts and all, not easy, but so rewarding. changes everything.
One of my favorite things to say, well, to myself, but to the people that I love, is when they're just melting down. So I call it, when you're melting down, being an amoeba, as like a sweet, loving way of like, oh, I'm being an amoeba. But when they're just, they think they're too ugly to love, which is such a terrible, like, it's just like the world has been so, the way that the world is can be so harsh. It often makes me just feel really like I want to be extra loving. But I'll say to them, I can love you there. And I can love you there too. And then I know that their brain is going like, yeah, but have you seen me? And I'm like, oh, I can love you there too. Don't tempt me, just to make a play out of it, because I think that we can take ourselves so seriously in our triggers and traumas and our victimhood and our perpetratorness, and like we take ourselves so serious. And like, well, let's play with that a little bit, because it's going to be here. We get to practice how to be in the trust frequency. We get to choose to practice to be loving and trusting, and to choose each other over, well, the disintegration. So thank you both so much for your time and your energy and the years of love and commitment to your work and to loving each other and yourselves.
And loving the process, acknowledging that it's a process. It's a journey. It's that hero's journey. It's that heroine's journey. And it's an archetype almost. And once we become aware of it, then we can flourish in it and go beyond feeling less than and victimized and all that. We go into that glory of that we are love, we are loved, and all of creation is awaiting our gift that we promise to bring to the party.
Amen.
Amen.
So it is, and so it shall be. Oh, you both are precious. I had so much fun with you in LA. That was really sweet.
Really. Yep.
The conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little sad that Dawn isn't here today.
Where's Dawn?
Dawn, she's doing family stuff.
Oh, okay.
But she would love you. And I know so I guess that just means we'll have to have you on again soon.
Yeah, I don't think we've encountered Dawn before, have we?
No.
I don't think
Not
so.
in person.
Right.
I've watched a couple of these shows and seen her and was looking forward to interacting with.
I don't think I've ever even seen her. So yeah, let's do it again.
She kind of looks like my sister, actually.
Yeah, I know. I saw the photograph. You're identically dressed.
Oh, that was her idea. And I don't know, you don't know this about me, but I really love like couples dressy, like pairing things like that.
Okay,
I just love
that's genius. It's beautiful.
Yeah, she's so cute. Anyway, we'll just twinkle her and we'll draw her back in. I know that she would really resonate with your work. Just like, Scott and Global Peace Tribe resonates.
Yeah.
Which brings me to thanking all of our sponsors and our muses. So just going to thank Roy and Russell, the assistants that make the Self-Love Show work. We'll just give them lots of love there because they are working their butts off, doing all sorts of crazy stuff in the background. And making sure that this goes on the podcast platforms and everything's updated on the YouTube channel all the time, and answering emails occasionally. And let's thank Scott Katamas and Love Coach Academy, Global Peace Tribe, and Sign Network for always just being consistent, loving partners here and sharing my work and Dawn's work and all of our guests' work out in the world so that we can all evolve and love together. And thank you, Andrew and Connie, for your time and your energy and your effort today.
Well, it's so great to be here because self-love is the key. It is the foundational journey that we came on this planet to do, and so that we bring our gift to the party. So thank you for your work with the self-love. That's so key.
Yeah, I do think it is key, and this is really mused by Scott Katamas. you know. I mean, Scott Thomas and Dawn, like these two people really were foundational, like people to show up in my life when I didn't know. And that might be a story for a slightly different time.
That may to be continued.
But one thing I wanted to mention that we didn't mention is that we're doing this work with Maureen Edwardson, who has inner resonance technologies. We're doing some courses together, and her work clears the track basically for the trust frequency assumptions at deep levels, so that we get our preconceived notions, our other thought forms from the culture, from the past vibratory level that the Earth's been in, and that we've all been showing up for these systems that don't honor the human heart and human spirit.
Yeah.
So she does this incredible work of taking us into quantum reality, where we just make a choice, a soul choice to not be there anymore.
Trish, do you remember her? She was in LA at the Global Peace Tribe retreat. Maureen, yeah, she's phenomenal. Yep. Just get her on the show. You know, that's just a thought.
Yeah. And we're doing a 12-week course with her. We're speaking on World Unity Week this coming week with her. And we're doing a 12-week online course with her, combining the inner resonance technologies with the trust frequency. So that's a really important aspect for her. And her website is maureenedwardson.com. And to explore that, because it's time now. It's time to move out of that old energy, old frequency. And the faster we can do it, the more with more ease and grace, the better. So we highly recommend Maureen and her work.
And we'll just share her up there. Oh, thank you, Maureen.
Yes, she is.
Well, thank you again. And we will see all of your viewers and listeners right now. We will see you same time, same place next week. So
thank you, Trish.